Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics. And now that the legal process has run its course on the murder of the three girls in Southport last July, the government have announced a public inquiry. But what is the reason for the inquiry? What are the specific failures that have been exposed when you take out the racist backseat driving from the equation? But first, for daily political commentary, please hit the subscribe button so you stay notified. So just a short one, as it's not very detailed, but it is quite important. Last summer, a violent extremist killed three girls and attacked many more. At the time, figures on the far right were trying to claim or intimate that it was an asylum seeker who carried out the killings, when in actual fact it was someone from Britain, born and bred. The racist disinformation was used as an excuse for terrorists and assorted thugs to take to the streets and smash up several communities, including the grieving Southport community, and even a Citizens Advice Bureau in the northeast, which provides services for some of the most vulnerable people in society. You know, just so that we were clear that they don't give a damn about Britain or its people. Nigel Farage and his useful idiots in both Reform UK and the Tory party tried at the time, and are still continuing to try to claim, that there's been some sort of shady cover-up. There wasn't. At various times, neither the police nor the government were allowed to discuss some details, because there's a criminal investigation and trial going on. If you compromise a trial, then you can't have a fair trial, then the person has to be acquitted. The case collapses. There are no details hidden from the public now that it's over. Even Farage is not claiming that any important details have been hidden. He's just trying to make something of the fact that he wasn't told about sensitive details in his role as, check notes, absentee MP of a place nowhere near either the murderer or the murders. But legal process done, we're now having a public inquiry. Now, is this just a bit of red meat for the racist goons? You might well think so. Not all inquiries are held because there's a real need to hold one, and not all public inquiries are held in public because it needs to be held in public, right? Sometimes they are organised for political purposes. Indeed, I've talked recently about the fact quite a lot of inquiries are held specifically to delay having to do something. But in this case, a serious failing has been exposed and it does need some sort of investigation. And as it is a huge issue which has already been drawn to the public's attention, that's probably why a public inquiry is necessary. The failing centres on the fact that the murderer had been reported to the authorities multiple times. He and his penchant for extreme violence were known about by the authorities, so why didn't they act? Well, it would appear that when Theresa May's government set up the Prevent de-radicalisation programme, which I've talked about a bit in the past, I had plenty of training on that as a teacher at the time, it appeared that the emphasis on intervention was to prevent extremists becoming terrorists. But the murderer, Axel Rudakabana, was not a terrorist, nor was he likely to become a terrorist. As I've discussed a few times since the terror attacks last summer, which were terrorist attacks, a terrorist is not just someone who uses indiscriminate violence. The violence is specifically employed with the intention of furthering political aims. So if you have no political aims, by definition, you're not a terrorist. There was no political motivation for his thoughts or actions. He just pursued violence for the sake of violence. He wasn't trying to threaten the public or the government into doing anything. And as a result, it would appear that the Prevent programme had not considered someone like this. They fall through the gaps because it's like, that's not what we deal with. We deal with extremists to terrorists. We try to break that link. So obviously what we really need is a counter-extremism programme which breaks the link between extremism and violence for whatever reason, that intervenes wherever anyone is at risk of carrying out acts of serious violence and not just limited to terrorism. And that is ultimately what the public inquiry will be for. Obviously, the Keir Starmer's only just been announcing some of the details today. We'll have to find out exactly what the parameters are when it's launched. But that is ultimately what it's going to be about, to work out what our current systems could do with different guidance to make recommendations for what that guidance should be. In theory, it wouldn't need to be a public inquiry, but as I say, the fact that we have this huge hole in our counter-extremism system and it has been exposed to the general public, and of course the general public have a genuine interest in this, That is why it's now a public inquiry. But there we are. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. If you've enjoyed the video, please click the like button and subscribe for further content. If you'd like to support the channel further, you can click the join button for memberships. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I'll see you later.